All right, folks, looks like we're up and running. We're a little after 4 o'clock, so we're going to call the Redevelopment Commission meeting to order. First line we've got on the agenda is adoption of the agenda.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. I think our next one is the
Minutes.
approval of the minutes from the last meeting, which everybody should have gotten a copy of.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion. Any changes or corrections to the minutes? We got the motion. All in favor, we have a second. Give me a second first.
Sorry, I wasn't at the meeting.
I wasn't either.
I wrote them.
I'll second that.
Wait,
We got
is that the one you
Can I-
chaired?
I wasn't here. Bill was
No,
You
here.
know what? Oh, I can second that.
Yeah.
That was that one. I thought there was another.
No, we haven't had one since then.
Okay.
So we have all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. I do have the TIF balances. TIF allocation one, which is courthouse, is $244,796.63. Wapaka is $165,339.28. It just had another bond payment come out of it. The Web Wheel is $409,530.44. And the Riverview West is $4,034.94.
Summary. Summary report.
So that's our balances for right now. Just an update. They're still working on some of the paperwork to finalize the removal of the TIFs that has been voted on by this commission and the county commissioners. So hopefully we'll get that paperwork completed here soon. So Chris can get that all recorded the way it needs to be recorded. We're waiting on basically our attorney at this point. Forest Canton update. Has anybody not been out there lately? Utilities are done and in. Finally got the grass or the dirt regraded. Everything's been reseeded to satisfaction, and all the mats have been put back that were removed during utility construction. Thanks to Kenny, he kind of stayed really on top of that and made sure that all got done correctly. Otherwise, we get in trouble with the state of Indiana and run off with Ronnie Bain and runoff. So we always are trying to make sure that we're in compliant with that. We did have one little issue which we had to fix. We had that big rain. We had a washout under one of our curbs as the water rolled through. So Sam's backhoe ended up fixing that for us. We ended up pumping some concrete up underneath it to stabilize that so we wouldn't have any issues into the future. Felt that was the best way to make sure that didn't happen again. And there was no void, so if you drove over that curb, it wouldn't break. So that cost us, I've got an invoice is a little over $500 for that, which was really relatively inexpensive when you really kind of looked at it. But since Sam was already out there, he said he would take care of it for us, so which he did, which was nice.
Yes.
And so that was $525. That's what we'll appropriate to Sam.
Signs are all up.
Signs are up, good. And I don't know really where to put this, but because of this, where this funding is going to come, Sam has already been paid $100,000 from the city of Tell City ARP. He has finished, and he did the water and sewer. So I'm going to request the other $50,000 from city ARP, which is what they said they would do is $150,000. And then the remainder of Sam's is going to primarily come out, with the exception of a few changes that we had to make in construction phase, are going to come from the remainder of the ready grants, which is around $48,000, which is in process right now. And it's a process, so Sam knows this. It's going to take a little bit longer for him to get that money, and he understands that. We will have a little carryover that we're going to probably have to go into the county ARP funds to finish paying Sam. He had a change order on some main fittings, which We tried to calculate it, and we just needed a few more of them to make it work. Well, a few more, 13 more. And that came to $4,030. And then we made a change to the original engineering had entrenched, so we ended up having to bore part of it because of how it runs underneath our catch basin. And that ended up being $2,550. So those change orders Kenny looked at, we went ahead and took care of those. So some of that money will address to the ARP county dollars. Case bolts did finish the electrical / PSC underground work, and no change orders that I've seen on that one. So that we'll pay theirs out of the ARP from the county, which is I think it was 25,700 or 27,500. I'll look that up. Next thing I have on, there's a lighting update. I have not moved any further with the lighting. I've been gone and just haven't really followed up on some of that. That's something we'll be able to put in as we go along. Initial costs were a little more than I anticipated, so I'm trying to figure out how to get that down. It's a matter, and a lot of it depends on what kind of fittings or structures we put in. So, but I haven't followed up on that. We'll get that done. The next section is the marketing. It looks like all the little quirks in the system got corrected. And it looks like some of those corrections were not originals. It's just kind of how it passed through. So that's good that we got that caught and fixed. No blame to anyone on that. And I actually had a printout of that, and I understand people are going on and looking at it. I've had several calls and inquiries. So it looks like we've got an interest. We'll see how that interest goes.
I had text messages and emails from Evansville.
Good.
I had 2 today from individuals.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's
All the
lots
maps
of
were gone.
chatter around
So I would-
town. I think we're gonna have more people than we think.
All the maps were gone, so I replenished some of those.
Really?
Good deal.
Where did you put that?
Right beside the sign when you drive in.
That's great.
Their letterings are supposed to be starting out there. I don't have a date yet, but they're going to be starting here maybe in a week or so. Once they do, that road's going to get shut down. The road coming in.
I probably park on 37 and walk in like we did.
Yeah. So, but they ask that we try to stay out of there because they don't want to make provisions for driving and while they're working. We totally get that.
So in light of that, and we know people are interested, and as I recall, the schedule, it could be closed down for how many weeks?
3 weeks.
3 weeks. What if someone is interested and wants to get on site to pick their lot?
Can they
The
not walk
safest-
on site?
That's what I'm wondering.
They can walk on. They'll be able to walk on.
I mean, if you wanna see a lot, you can walk on.
Right. So I'm wondering then since that's the case, if we need to put something online and in social media, because if I don't want to start, we've been saying, oh, go look at the lot, you'll be able to pick, and then all of a sudden they can't drive on the,
Yeah, so
Should
we
we-
could put something on there to say that there will be road construction starting on Swiss Road within the next week or so, I believe. I think we could use that as a time frame, and that should be worked on for at least we'll say 3 weeks. So what I would tell everybody, they will not be able to take possession or start building on those lots till at least October, because they won't be able to get in there to do it. And that'll once they get done with that.
We will transfer that delay in time.
Yes, that's
Right.
correct. That's correct. In case they get a bit behind, we may have to shuffle that, but we'll adjust the starting dates based upon the construction.
They can actually-
And whenever they leave there, we will have, the road will be complete, that curb will be put in. The end of that road where it's a big ditch, that's all gonna get fixed. So it's gonna look a lot nicer for drainage. It's like a big ravine there right now. That's all gonna get fixed. It's gonna be a little wider, curved on
Nice.
one side. And then the initial layer of asphalt will be in place around the whole subdivision. So once that's done, it's gonna make a big difference. We are gonna pull up the old road past the 400 and some feet where it goes into Forest Canton. which is just, it's rubbled asphalt right
It needs
now.
to be gone.
We're just gonna scrape that up, and seed it.
Yeah.
And be that way, if they would ever need to extend that road, it's kind of there, but it's not gonna look crappy.
It's not
What we are
nice.
not gonna touch
Right.
though is that little caged area, because that's on the state right of way. And I don't wanna call the state
Right.
and deal with it.
Fair.
So we're just gonna leave that like it is, and we're gonna move on from there. So that's what we discussed at the meeting with Letterings, the pre-construction meeting, with Kenny and myself and the Letterings. So I think right now, it's just a matter of making sure we get the information out there, right? And Bill's got all the signage up, and that looks all good. Again, there's been a lot of inquiries. I think the documents online are all good, right? I know there was a little bit of a quirk on that, but I think that got resolved, which is good.
I think we
That
should,
happens. It happens.
there was a part on there, and I think I would like to publicly apologize to Christoph that if he felt like that was directed at him. It certainly wasn't, and there was nothing that he did
Right.
incorrectly.
And I think that's good. I think that's good. So I guess now I'm assuming we really don't need to meet before the 23rd. You know, the 23rd is our meeting for getting these lots out. I may send out an email just kind of on the scheduling. That's okay.
Do you want us here at what, 6?
I would say 6
I
o'clock.
think we need to go through the procedures,
Yeah,
and how it's all
yeah.
gonna
Right.
work.
So do you want to, maybe you want us like do a
me?
meeting at 5:30 to
I
make
do.
sure?
Just be a long day, but
Well, I mean, I've got all kinds of questions, like, and I'd rather have questions answered before.
I agree.
Instead of the day of.
Unless you want to meet maybe the week or so before, or do you want to try to go through that now? I'm
I
okay.
mean, I'm okay going now if everybody else is.
You okay?
I am.
We're good.
So, okay, so we publicized 6:30. Does the drawing of the lottery numbers begin at 6:30, or do doors open at 6:30?
yeah, good thing, Shirley. So everybody, let's say we
I-
have stragglers, we come in, everybody, we start at 6:30, you get a number,
So that's going to take time.
it's gonna take
So
time.
do we have doors open at 5:30, or are we opening doors at 6:30 and the lottery will be at 7:30?
I would say we should open the doors at 5:30 and the lotteries at 6:30.
That's what I think too.
Otherwise, it
That's
gets
not what's out
started.
there.
It gets too late.
Right, you're right.
I have like a whole, sorry. This is
No,
kind
keep
of-
No, that's
going.
good. That's why
Organizing
you're,
this crap is kind of my forte, stuff I like to do. But, so who's getting the lottery equipment? And by lottery equipment, I mean the bingo cage. Who's getting that? See, we can't wait until the day before. Somebody needs to.
I don't know. I mean, who,
Does anybody know where one's
how,
at?
Yeah.
how big does it have to be?
I get,
I was gonna say, I have a home personal
Well,
one, like for,
We've only
Yeah,
got
I don't
27
see it.
lots, so.
Tony's got it, okay. I also think that we need to, do you care if I go through this?
No.
Good, okay. I also think that we need to have, we need to have a table out front with we need to have all of our committee members assigned somewhere.
Yes.
2 people would be sitting out there dedicated to, they would be issuing the numbers, having them.
Basically, they'll be collecting the application, and at that time, once the application is completed, they issue the number, correct?
Correct, and I need to know if this is okay.
I didn't have any problems with that.
Okay, and I put on the top that it's an agreement, I put a place for them to sign, and then Perry County Redevelopment Commission representative.
so whoever receives
Whoever's
that,
out front.
reviews and signs off.
And then they initial each thing and the name of who the lot's going into, that way they can't play games
Right.
of getting it.
I think that's what I liked about it.
So
And then at that time, once that's all signed, then you issue the number, whoever's
then
out
you
there
issue
issues
the
the number.
number, and I would like for them to have an actual, like
Number,
when you go to an actual board number.
I agree.
So then my question is, who's going to make those? None of these things get done.
well, do you want me to ask Zach? I mean, would you want like a lanyard where they put it around?
No, I think we just need a number to hold up. I mean, I think we can do those ourselves instead of paying for them.
This on, like on a
I'm
postcard,
thinking
or
we
not
have
a
to
card.
make them, if you guys are
Just make it
okay
out of
with
cardstock,
Yeah,
right?
okay, I'll make them out of cardstock.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can do that. I think we need to, request the presence of the sheriff's department in case there are any disturbances.
Yeah,
I don't think there will be, but with a situation like this, I mean, that's totally up to you. It's just a suggestion.
I think I contacted them and asked them if they would come and let them kind of decide.
And
what
let
they
them
wanna do.
decide.
Yeah.
So who's gonna reach out on that?
We need to have.
You want me to have to call Alan?
Thank you.
You want to do that?
I can call
Bill will
Alan.
call Alan.
Bill's gonna call, okay, so Bill's in
Call.
charge of that. We need to have, one person we need a microphone and one person who is announcing and running the proceedings and keeping everything
That'll be
on
me.
track and running. You're doing that?
Yeah.
Okay. We need to have one person being the cage operator, meaning the person drawing. I don't think that you should have any other task other than being in charge.
So who wants to do the cage?
I don't mind doing the cage.
Okay, so that's Carol.
We won't lock you in the cage.
Thank you.
You don't
Although I
have to
might
fight-
wanna be.
You don't have to fight in the cage. The people at the front need to make sure that that the people coming have all documents and that they've signed and initialed everything on the agreement. And I think we need to have a folder for each person, write their name at the top, and have all their things in one folder rather than a bunch of papers everywhere. So that person's folder is there.
Could we have a checklist? Because I don't mind doing that. My concern is we might need 3 people up there. We might need 2 people
Might need
evaluating
more.
those.
So I
But
was gonna suggest you be up there because you're so organized and I'll do the numbers and that way.
that's
you can
fine.
be
I'm
up
fine
there.
being up front.
Okay,
And then we maybe have maybe David there too to help.
yeah,
Right.
David's very
Okay,
organized.
Carol,
too.
David, we just.
Yep.
David.
David, he's not here, so.
He's not here.
So
He's
I think he gets to do it all.
David's in.
Okay.
I also think that then when they do that and you issue them a number, so here's what I've heard in the community. A lot of people want to come just to watch it. So I think we need to have reserved seats for
For the
people with
people, yeah.
numbers.
I agree.
These
We can
are
open up
open,
the
right?
class.
Yeah.
We can open it up, but if you are participating, don't you think you should be up there?
Yeah, we can have that
Yes.
inside.
Then the next question is, should we have 2 reserved seats per number? Because if, let's say
With
you and.
spouses.
Yes, I mean, you wouldn't want to sit there
Right.
without your spouse there too. So we could have numbers on the chairs, 1, 2, 3, as we go.
Yep.
So
So
do
we
you want me to
actually
make
need-
those numbers as well?
2 sets of numbers then. One to hand them to
One to
hold
hand
up
them,
and one
And
for
one
them to
for the
use when they're
seats.
sitting in their
and
seat.
what, but here's the problem, there are 45 seats in here. So if we give them 2, that only gives us 22 lottery numbers.
We're just gonna have to go in behind.
We'll have to go in behind.
And
So,
explain to them what the reason is. So if they're actually a participant and looking at it, we want them to be in the front. And if
In
you
the
just
back.
wanna watch the thing, we're gonna ask them to be in the
in
back.
the back.
I think we can handle that.
Okay, so putting numbers on the seats, you're okay. Should I
I
put
think so.
1 number or 2?
I'd put 2, because you're right. And if for reason somebody only needs 1 seat, we can
Then
adjust.
we'll open it
We'll
up.
adjust.
Is there any way we could get like a map of the lots?
Yep.
And as
That's
people
next on the
select,
list.
as they select them,
Well, we can put their
Highlight.
names on them or
just
highlight.
highlight it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can get Kenny to print a big map.
But we need a big one that everyone can
Yeah,
see.
I'll have Kenny print a big map.
And as they're selected, they need to be marked
Marked
off.
off,
So
correct.
that everyone can see that. We need to record the proceedings like we're doing. I have either a large drawing or projection. Okay, someone then needs to be in charge of marking the lots off as they're purchased.
And I can do that too.
Well, I was gonna say, I probably could too. All I'm doing is drawing numbers out.
I'm thinking the people out front might need to be there longer than after it starts in case people show up
I agree.
late and their number could go in the bucket.
I agree.
We need someone to keep an official record of who purchased each lot,
Which will come into the file folder
which will come into the file folder.
because they're gonna have the form.
So,
Well-
run everybody through out there
Mhm.
in here, then I'll take that, I'll go down to the corner. And once you draw and you've got a lot, we'll come to the corner. And we'll
And find-
report
and
on
then-
And
Okay.
And get all the rest, any information
any
we need from
information
them.
you do not have from them.
And David and Carol,
Right.
I think what they do in addition to the file folders is have a numbered list. Now, whoever gets number one, they write their name or company name.
Yeah.
That way, when they raise number one, Tony knows who that is.
And then at that same point, we'll collect the funding.
Well, what I was thinking is, when we can do it however, it's just, I was thinking this through, because you have chaos in the room where it's going on. So let's say it was
Go
Bill's
back in
number,
another room.
yes, either back there or another table out there. As soon as you draw and this guy says, I want lot number 27, then you proceed to this room or out there where I think that's better.
Yeah, because it's a little more private,
And we have someone back there to collect the money and lots are purchased.
which is maybe what Tony, would instead of going over there, we take Tony back there.
Are we gonna
That
ask the
or-
treasurer to show up?
We need-
Yeah, well, I'll talk to
We need a locked box or a bank bag to collect the money.
Yeah,
And those file folders from up front need to be funneled back here so that we can put in the file what has occurred.
Yeah.
Things we need to make sure we have are a microphone, the table out front with 2 chairs, table back here for money collection, a locked box or
do you,
bank
do you
bag.
really think we need a microphone inside this small room?
Don't we have one? We
We do.
used to have one.
As someone who's hard of hearing, please back me up, Bill. I would appreciate a microphone. It's really
Yeah.
hard when you can't hear.
Well, and
Yeah,
especially
there
if
used
they're
to be
out.
one
Go out
here, so
there.
there used to be one. I'll ask the courthouse.
You want me to call, check with Amanda?
Yes, see if she'll be here.
Okay, thanks.
And she
Bill.
would be
I'll put
back
you
there,
down for
right?
microphone.
Yes.
I mean, we would want her back there.
Yeah, so
with the
that way
money.
we can basically hand all that to her and then she deals with it.
Do we need a notary here? That day, do we have to notarize any documents?
Well, is Amanda a notary?
Well, that's exactly what I was wondering.
We can
might
find
be.
out.
I'll ask
I mean,
Amanda.
I'm a notary, but I feel
You
like
don't want
that's
to.
a conflict
That's
of
a
interest, so
conflict.
I should not be
I'm
notarized.
just wondering if this document doesn't need to be notarized, just signed. It needs to be legal, and sometimes there's.
We'll
I don't know.
we'll see if Amanda's a
Let's ask that
notary. We can
question.
maybe have her notarized.
So one thing then, if we're gonna require notary, I would advise that we put something somewhere, whether it's on that sheet or publicized online, make sure they show up with their driver's license.
Okay, but what do we need the notary for?
I don't know, I'm just saying.
Just verification it's them. That's all you're doing.
So what are we
If
gonna
we're-
notarize?
if
I don't
we're-
know. I'm just
Because
asking.
if we don't,
Well, like the form, we're gonna notarize your form,
we're gonna
checklist
notarize
form,
that?
because they'll have,
Another reason
they'll show
to give
proof of who
Carol
they
a-
are. So that'll show, with the notary, they'll have to show proof of who they are with the driver's license. We'll notarize that is that person, and this is how that
They are
person.
signing
our-
a contract.
Right, so our notary needs to be out front from the
Yep.
beginning.
Can you think Julie would do that?
I think so.
That way that frees you up to not have to mess with that.
But it's, all it is a verification. They can't say, well, that wasn't
Julie
me.
has to be here.
If that would be an issue, we can solve that issue.
Okay. I think we also need someone here to take photos. I don't know if Aaron would do that. I don't know if we
I think she
contact
would.
Katie or someone to do that.
I think she would. If Aaron or
You mean to
some
take
of the folks
Pictures
from
of each
PCs.
person?
Pardon me?
No, just kind of general, kind of a,
Yeah, just general
To
photos.
record it.
Just
just kind of.
somebody, being happy they got a lot or what, so that we get publicity in the paper.
Well, we can probably call the paper lady too.
Yeah, we can do that.
I think they may be here anyway.
Who's gonna get the lockbox and bank?
I'll talk to Amanda, because she may already have one.
That's,
They
yeah.
can take care of it.
You want me to talk to
You
Amanda
can
about
talk to
these?
Amanda, yeah.
About the lockbox?
I probably have file folders at home. I can bring
We've gotten
those.
two, so that's.
I've
not a
got
problem.
some.
Notary, I'm gonna ask Amanda about that too.
Ask her about that, and then ask her if she'll be here that evening to make sure that we can pass the checks off to
Okay,
her.
I'll just talk to Amanda, that way it takes it off what you're doing.
All right, sorry I overtook that.
No,
but
no,
I-
no, no.
No, I'm glad you thought through the.
So we really need to be here no later than 5.
I think no later than 5, then we can organize.
Set
If we
up.
see something that's a little quirky, we can adjust. And if you would, send all that out on an email. to me.
Is
And
anywhere,
I'll send it to everybody else, and we'll put the names by who we have already said that we're gonna do what.
is there anywhere out
Do
there
that. And then
that doors open at 5:30? It's not.
So we-
we're here at 5, doors open at 5.
The auction, the process starts, the actual
6:30.
selection starts at 6:30.
But nowhere did out there, do we have 5:30 doors open? for-
No, but we need to put that out there now.
Okay, then.
We need to put that, and we can post it too.
Do we want to put that, call Erin and see if she'll post that on Pick Perry?
Yep. We need to
We
post it
need it
everywhere
on
we
the
can post it.
website. Who's been, has
Okay,
Aaron,
I'll send
who's been
Erin.
doing the website stuff?
Anybody can, I'll do it, I'll.
You can do that, Sharon.
Okay.
You want to do that then?
To put on there.
Yep.
So you're going to call Erin, you're going to talk to Erin too? Or you want me?
If you want me to, sure.
Well, I don't mind doing it. I mean,
You call Aaron, I'll call Nicole.
okay.
Okay.
And that way we can have that all posted. And I can send it out as a post too, like we do announcements for the meetings, because we'll have to announce it as a meeting anyway.
Right. When you post, when you do this update or the notification, remind all buyers that they need to bring a driver's license. We're gonna need that for the delivery.
And our document says they need to either bring the check or proof of credit, right?
Yes.
I did talk to Eric at German American on how, and I haven't really finalized what that's gonna look like yet. He's suggesting just put a mechanic's lien on the title. I don't know if that's the thing to do or not the thing to do. I was gonna
To
talk
put
to
a
Tony.
mechanic's lien, it's gotta be cleared through the court when it's over.
Yeah.
So if you start it, gotta stay on until we clear.
Until we clear. So you think that's a simple way to do it, Tony?
Honestly,
It's almost a stigma. But the banker said that.
is a stigma.
What about our county attorney? Do we need to?
We probably need to get him here.
I think so too.
If we can get him.
I mean, do we need to meet with him before we go through all this?
What I may do is I may sit down with him and let him know what we're doing to see, make sure there's no issues. Is that fair?
If they say
Yeah,
it's
that'd be
fine, okay.
Let me know if you want me
And
to.
that way that I can also present the documents that we have to make sure that he doesn't have
As
something.
long as the lender understands why it's there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then it may not be an issue.
Yeah, it would be really nice if everyone just pays cash and we move on.
right.
If everybody just presented their 15,000.
I'll tell you, there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of interest in, I think some of these developers are seeing, they're figuring out that this is not a bad gig.
Let's hope it's over
Oh
with.
my God, I think it's the deal of the century.
There was 2 Perry Spencer guys there today. They were asking me all about it. They go, all that, 15,000?
Yeah.
I go,
Actually, I had some other, one of the lettering workers was asking the same thing. It's like, how do I do this? So, I mean, there's interest.
There's a lot. I think there's gonna be a lot of individuals who show up.
Yeah, so if you would send that, then I'll send it to Andrew, verify that, and then I'll send it out to everybody as an announcement and then I'll send out the announcement of the meeting for the 23rd, like I do with all the other ones. Then that'll all get posted, and then we'll make sure we tell them 5:30 registration begins, 6:30 this thing is gonna start, and it's gonna be 6:30 sharp. We're not messing around.
Okay, one last thing we need to talk about. We put in our procedures, and I have to remember why we did it. But we put in our procedures that once you pick a lot, you don't get to change. Once the lottery is completed, people can trade lots among themselves. We need.
Well, they're gonna
time
change
frame for
lots
that.
among themselves with our direction.
With our direction, that's why I think we need some kind of we're back here, I paid my money and I have lot number 2. We need something for these people to sign that they've traded lots. I mean,
That's
We do.
something the attorney would.
We do,
Our-
and the question is, do we do all that night?
I think we
I
did.
think we need to while they're here.
Or maybe we don't, I don't know. You
Well, we
guys-
could, but then that would be something that maybe once that's
It's
kind of
done.
done, once it's all done,
It's done, no more trading.
the announcement can be, unless somebody wants to do a trade, and everybody's in favor of that trade, both parties are in favor of that trade, then we can maybe meet over here and then we'll deal with that, and then we can readjust the
I
lot
mean,
number.
I could see a builder saying, would anyone like to trade their lot for lot number 16? And then just wanting to make that.
But that'll be-
And if we're
everything's
gonna
done.
do that, let's
Do it
apply
when it's
some
over.
order when it's
When it's
over,
over.
and let's apply some order to it. So if you're number
Yes.
one and you want to trade, you talk first.
Yep.
Who do you want to trade
Based
with?
on lot number
And that's why I
or
think,
pick number.
I think pick
Based
number.
on pick number.
So
order.
if you showed up first and you got number one, there you are. You get to talk trade first.
So it's not chaos.
Let's keep it
Yeah, I
systematic.
think that's, and that gives us an order.
Right.
All lot trades will be after the auction is.
Correct.
Lotteries
And
over.
after.
and
that's
approved by the
Yeah.
commission.
And approved.
And approved by the commission.
Well, we may be going through 2 phases too. What, I mean, if we don't
We
get through
might
this
be
on one
through.
phase, so we still want to go, I mean, the
Through all
second
the
phase.
phases first.
So we're gonna, the lottery thing will be totally done before we make any adjustments to trading.
all the phases.
All
And
the
that's why I
phases.
think it's so important that we have you, the one person announcing and in charge.
Right.
Hang on, this is,
Yeah, because if we try to do it
proceeding.
in between phases, it's gonna be chaotic.
Yeah, you can't do that.
We've got to keep
agree.
our rhythm through the phases.
someone's got to direct everyone. This is what we're doing now.
And I think something else to keep in mind, because we are talking phases. So if I'm number 15 and I got to pick the last lot in phase 1 and I'm back there settling up,
We'll have to wait.
we should
We
not
wait.
start the next phase.
I agree.
Yes.
We will
Yes.
wait.
And again, John's in charge.
Yep. So
John will say,
it'll be a
well,
verification if that person is still back there, or you want to continue, and if they say, I'm done, then we can move on. If they say, no, I'm not, we will wait until that's complete.
So no one exits via any of these halls. They come back through here.
Right.
Now, when they draw for the second phase, do we have another file folder for them? I mean,
I would,
I think we
I
should.
would.
Good
I would.
point.
I have another file folder.
because that way each lot is separated.
And then before we start phase 2, I need to dump all the numbers out. And I think you need to go through each number and say, number 1, would you like to be in phase 2?
Correct.
If there's no answer, that means they're gone. We throw it out. Number 2, and they have to.
I agree.
Yay or nay.
I agree with that.
And I have one question on that. So say there's 45 people in here and I don't know. It takes a while to go through that process. Or are you saying we go through the numbers we've drawn? I don't want to sort through everything.
Okay.
Like if
so-
number 15 didn't get selected in round 1, their lot's gone, they're not interested, they're leaving. They're not going to stay for phase 2. Are we going to go through every single number if we have 45 numbers and pick them all out? Or should we just keep drawing?
Yeah,
If
that's a
number
good
1's
question.
gone and not here? Number 1,
I would-
Going
I
once,
think
twice,
that
sold.
takes more time because, okay, let's say there's
I don't know.
45. If there's 45, I think they're all gonna be bought because we only have 27. Now,
Fair.
maybe we won't, but if those people are gone and there's 5 people left in the room, we say your numbers and that's what we put back in.
John will announce before it ever starts, if you're interested in more.
And
than
we
one
could
lot.
say, if you would like for your number to
Yes.
be put in for phase 2, please hold your number up.
There we go.
Then we put them in and say, these are
Okay.
the numbers we have in the basket. Would anyone else like their
That's-
number?
that
probably the
works.
quickest way.
That works.
That's
You
probably
tell
the
everybody
Yeah.
before it starts.
Yep.
Then we don't have to go through each number.
Yeah.
like I
Exactly.
said.
That you're asking the same question, they're just
Yes.
having to respond to it.
Right, with the card,
correct.
which is another reason for the card.
Yeah, then, so if there's 5 left, if we have 5 lots left and they pick and we're done.
Let's
And
say
I
the
think-
5th person that.
Go ahead.
They don't want any lots, but their number's strong, they're 5th.
And they
Then
say, I should
they're
be
out.
They
declined.
just, they
Move
just,
on to another one.
They
we
decline.
go to the next one.
Yep.
In the first phase though, right?
Right.
We're going,
They
we
don't
go all,
get to be in phase 2. You turn
and
them
then once we
on,
get
they're
all
out.
the way through the 27, then we're done, right?
Right.
But-
Right,
But like if we have 15 people opt out, that's when we would have the next phase.
That's correct.
correct,
That's correct.
correct.
So if your lot was selected that you really wanted, that's the only one you wanted, and now your number comes up, you say, I decline.
Right.
Fine, then we
Or
then
they
we do
don't
it
even
again.
Turn in your
answer 'cause they
number.
Yep,
walked
turn in
out.
your number.
Turn in your number and
We'll
we'll
have somebody
set
collect their
them
number and
aside.
then that'll go into their file and it was basically no claim.
Yeah,
So I'm thinking, Tony, when you're back there.
So then we'll have files
processing,
for everybody.
You need to ask
I
them
think so.
and point out, are you going to continue?
I'll have a separate sheet. for
If
that.
they choose, if they say, you know what, say they're, we're just getting started. Person number, 5 gets their lot, they're done, they're good to go, and they want to leave, they don't want to stay and watch the rest, they're not
I'll
going to
put
bid
number
on,
5 out.
keep
I'll
their
keep a
number.
separate sheet.
They'll have to go through the process. And on the
Take
outside of
their
the file
card,
folders, we'll
so
write
it
the
doesn't
lot
get
number on it
circulated.
that they chose.
Yes, yes.
So then we'll know just by looking at the outside of the folder
What
what
that
lots,
lot
what lot.
number is.
Yeah.
The more organized we are the night of, the less
I
chaos
completely
afterwards.
agree.
That's how we've always operated, as organized as possible. I mean, we have, as a
Yeah.
commission, we have.
One thing I've got, other than what Sherry's talked about, is, kind of talked about it before you go in. Maybe a couple of us could get our mowers and mow that to the ground.
Yeah.
And I told Bill, maybe we ought to hit it with some fuselage, like that Johnson press out.
I mean,
I don't
Right
think-
back.
My John Deere will get through some of that grass. I was out there today.
Our-
It's like,
Ours will take it
I
down.
told him. so I
You got
told him,
one that will?
Right
Yeah,
through it.
yeah, we'll take it down.
well, you're the farm guy, so.
We'll take it down. But I think you're right.
Couple hours, we can clean it up.
We'll clean it up.
Then we'll hit it with some spray and stuff.
Now, you want to do that before they start working on the road, or?
No, we
We
can
can
come in the backside. We can get in.
I just drive down the road.
That's what I'm gonna just drive the
I'm not
lawnmower
gonna
over
go
there.
down the trailer.
You know, and even when they're working on the road, I'm sure we can skinny in if we had to, but we can get in
Come in
there.
on 37.
Yeah, we can get in there. But I think you're right. It'll look nicer.
Well, do we need to do that real soon? Because I mean, when the
We need to
people,
hit it now, by the weekend, maybe if we can, and then do it.
I mean, I put all the signs right by the curb.
We can.
So
we
that
can pick it
that
up.
should be out of the way of everybody.
Well, and that's all, most of the curbs there, they just got, straw back down again, so.
Yeah, and it,
Is all I'll say is, Tony, when we do mow, just we gotta make sure we don't pick up the mats, because you don't want it to dig that out of your lawn more. But that, most of that's not gonna have grass on it right now,
Right, I thought we'd stick to what's growing
Yeah,
bad.
yeah.
It's just looking,
because they dug up a lot of it.
it's not bad. Couple hours it'll be done.
Do we have, lot signs on order?
He's got them.
You got those?
they're already, I
You
put them
put
up
'em
today.
Oh, yay. I haven't been out today.
Great.
Good.
So each lot is done.
Yeah, some of the markers were down, but I was trying to use the map and say, okay, it turned here. My two dogs were helping me, not very
They
much,
were
but,
supervising.
well, I mean, I look at the map and some of the, just with the work they've done, some of the, where Kenny had put the wooden stake. But I mean, I got them close, okay?
People have a general idea.
I mean, they got an
If you
idea
look
where
at
it's
them, you
at.
can kind of generally tell where they are,
Well, yeah, I mean, this is,
the way that they're laid out.
Now, do you get the dog with the lawn?
Not Bill's dogs.
no, I took my two out there just to let them run a little bit.
But they love that.
So if you'll send that out, then we can all re-verify it.
Okay.
Okay.
And then I can contact the attorney and make sure that he doesn't see anything that's really weird on it.
Okay.
And then we'll just start publicizing the information again. And then we can actually put a checklist, if you're wanting to attend on the webpage, here's the things you need to bring.
Okay, so,
And we need a checklist for that day for ours.
We do,
That's what I'm
but for the
thinking.
people to make sure they bring their license and they bring their check and they bring their,
for
I'm even
verification, that they have
Verifications.
money available.
Every person that comes in, as David and I are going through and verifying that we have everything we need, do we have a master checklist that we can work off of? Did they bring their form? Is it signed? Yes. Every folder, every person who comes in to bid is going, a checklist that we're gonna use and put in that
well, and we can
folder.
pull out that off of what Sherry's got.
Right,
I think, and we just have the sheets there, and you're right. We
Right.
just go through
it's a checklist,
and then it goes in their folder, then we know it's been
And we
done.
know
I
that
think
it's been
when
verified.
the Lines forming, somebody says, one person per bid in line, everyone else.
And I can
does
take
something.
care of that organization.
We don't need 16 people for one bidder.
Yeah, we just need them doors open before we get in, we'll do all that.
Yeah, we'll have everything ready, and everything will be literally ready as they come in, that we can just start clipping through them.
Okay.
So we don't they're not waiting on us. We don't get a line forming quicker than what we can get started.
right,
Because that's usually what backs things up. Because we're not ready.
Right, we're not ready.
But we're gonna be ready, so as they come in, we can, and then I'm assuming as we do these, they're gonna process a little quicker soon.
I would hope.
I think we'll get.
now, do I need to tell Aaron what we need as far as to remind people to bring their license?
Form of payment,
Form of payment,
registration, how it's gonna be registered, property wants to be registered.
now the registration, what
What do you mean
what
by
registration you talking about?
You could buy it and put it in a trust, you could buy it and put it in your name. The company could buy it and put it in their name. We need to know how the deed is supposed to be registered.
That's what this.
That's
Yeah,
what, that's on.
that's
the
right.
license.
Right.
They fill that-
So really, I don't need to tell
Once
her
they
anything
fill that
on that,
form
just a
out, get it
license.
done, they're done.
Yeah. So we have to understand that there's maybe more than one format of how they register, but it's still got to tie, if it's a trust, it's got to tie to the individual.
Does anybody want a copy of this thing?
I would love one.
I'll email it too.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
You're gonna add notary
Yeah.
seal
thank
for
you
the bottom.
writing.
Yep. I mean, if nothing else, it makes sure that everybody understands that this is, number one, it's serious, it's very well done, and we're not messing around. And we're not doing this for the intention of somebody to try to game the system.
Right.
And we're doing everything in our, because I've had questions like, why are you doing it this way? I said, well, we're doing it this way because we're trying to make sure that it's fair and equitable for everybody and nobody tries to game this thing. Because the public has a tendency to always try to figure out the angles, and we're trying to prevent all the angles. And I'll say that conversation is going to happen that night too. We're going to talk about the intent, the rationale of why we're doing it, how we're doing it, and how we came up with these decisions. And quite frankly, and I'll make the comment public, which I guess I am. If you don't like it, I'm sorry, but we're going to move on the way we're going to do it.
I'm timing you, give you so much time.
We are not here to please. We are here to make sure we can grow as a community. That's what we're here for.
Exactly.
So, thank you, Sherry.
Yes, thank you very much for.
I mean, do we need to meet like any time?
Unless for some reason we see a glitch, I don't think so.
I'll be here
Because
at 5.
we got through a lot of this. You know, some of this, if there's
Yeah,
a
I'll be here
issue, we
4:30, 4:05 too. I
we
mean,
can address.
do we need to have anybody else come to help? Do we need to?
We all need to be here at
I
5.
know we need to. Do we need to ask for like volunteers?
Well, I don't think so. With our commission,
We don't, we're missing David, so.
Well, I mean, like, JR's gonna be here. If we
And I
find
can-
out we need someone else, he'll jump in and help.
Kay can come.
Kay can come and
come, so.
Julie can come and,
Well, Julie's gotta be here to notarize.
oh,
Yeah,
to
she'll
know,
be-
that's right.
We
If
need,
she can't, her secretary's a notary.
And that's, yeah, I mean, I think between Kay and JR, if we need someone extra, like if they're getting backed up, we can say, please go out there.
I just
Hand in
wonder
this form, let it fill it out and come back again.
Right.
if anyone at the courthouse, because I'm just trying to think when those guideline things you see at a movie theater, or the ropes. Can we, if you're buying, you're gonna be in the rope, and if you're not buying,
Get out.
I don't know if we're gonna need
Cones,
any
anything.
kind of intense crowd.
Yeah, I think we have to plan for a lot, and
Crowd
And be
control.
happy.
they may have something here.
That,
I bet they would. Maybe back in
But
the
they
store.
do too.
because that would
Manual.
be,
What's that?
They have like those pull type
if
barriers,
there's
you know,
enough,
little
if you're saying people.
cords in them, so
Cords,
Watch, I love
organized.
that.
I do
You know what I'm
too,
talking about?
but
If
But
not, we can get
But I wanna make sure that. the
like a
people who
sawhorse and a
wanna
rope
buy
or
can get to
something
the table.
scenario.
can get to
Right.
the table and.
Basically, you're wanting like
Frankly,
ropes
maybe, like,
and
organize
you and
the
Dave-
crowd.
you and David are
Ropes
actually
and
wanting to
standards.
line up. If we have K and JR start handing these forms out so they can
Right.
read them in the line,
Right,
so I'm not standing at the table reading it.
I think so.
Could.
So we can
to
almost
that
have like a
end,
pre-table and then the post
Yeah,
table.
they can just walk hand and
Yep.
here's a pen if you.
Are
need.
you interested here? Please review this, and
Right,
and-
like right at the door.
Yeah.
But this is online as well,
it's online.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
But
so
I'm gonna revise it with the notary.
can we maybe see if, in the midst of the other stuff we're asking Erin to do, if she could do a reminder publicity, hey, if the form's available to it would save time for
Please
people
have it ready
standing
when
in
you come.
line. The fact of putting it out there was to get people, but to pre-register, So if we could do just
out there
a
too.
push. Yeah, I mean, can she do that on there? Like, we advise that people bring their completed form.
Yeah.
I'm sure people that are interested are doing it.
I'm hoping so. I
I
don't
think
want
it
them to
helps handing it
assume
out
they
in line.
We'll have it
can't.
available.
Yeah.
We'll have it
It
available.
doesn't
But
take that long.
we can actually have 2 sets of tables and a pre and a post.
I just don't want anyone who hasn't filled out the form showing up at the front table when there's 15 more people in line and it's 6:20.
You need to have your form filled out, please step
Well,
to the
and I
side,
think-
that's when you have to be mean.
I think
You
that-
do, but I want to give everyone, but at the same time, if they've been here waiting for 2 hours, which they won't, but, I want to make sure they've had ample time to do what they need to do so that when they get to the table, we can keep things flowing.
Well, I
So we
think-
have Kate and JR at the front door, and we have you and David back
Okay.
somewhere over here.
That
They're
works.
handing out
Are you
forms. They
posting?
tell them,
Here's-
have the
here's
form
your
filled
form
out when you get to the table.
If you haven't
And
already done it,
JR
do it
and
now.
Kay can basically make the comment, if you've already got one pre-filled out,
You don't need
you
that.
don't need this.
Into line.
If not, please try to have it filled out before you approach the table.
Right.
That way, when they approach the table, that's done, and it's just a matter of
Can you
moving
bring
it
some
through.
Edward,
Huh?
can you bring some Edward Jones pens so
I'll
they can
bring-
hand them
I'll
a
bring
pen too? Okay.
That's true. Yeah, we didn't think about that.
I'll bring pens.
Look at us volunteering our spouses like this.
And we all may be divorced when it's over.
I know it.
Everybody good?
Yep.
Thank you, Sherry. That's why this works so well, because we all have our own,
Recruits that we didn't
and,
announce first.
and really, everybody's got their own strengths.
Right.
And that's not mine.
And the lots aren't mine.
Huh?
And doing the lot stuff is not mine.
We do have several invoices to approve. We have Logos invoice, which was the signage and all the signs that Bill just put up today, was $1,628.54. We can do that out of courthouse tip. That's where we've been kind of taking those. And then Kenny's got a invoice number 4 for the Swiss Road for $2,250. And that's just the finalizing of, or not, hopefully the finalizing of the engineering. And then he actually did all the paperwork to get the bids work done. So that's part of that. And then we have an invoice on the residential subdivision, which there was an additional funding that Midwest Engineers had of $857. And this all goes to Kenny, so he's already paid it. And then his invoice is $57.32. And most of that is for him to, I'll give them to you. Most of that is for his, as he's been out there almost on a daily basis. So a lot of that is that basically as a project manager, if you want to use the terminology. Making sure that everything is done correctly, and then also dealing with the subcontractors or the contractors that did the utility work. And some of that was kind of interesting some days. Because sometimes they were on top of each other, and it was who's supposed to clean it up, who's responsible to put the dirt back, even if anyway, but Kenny got that all worked out. It's just very, very satisfactorily. So we just need to approve those invoices.
I'll make a motion to approve them all.
Okay, we have a
I'll
motion.
second.
Second, all in favor signify by saying aye.
All right,
Opposed, no. That's all I've got, folks.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, folks, we're done. Thank you.
We're still well under budget.
We are, yes. Let me copy this and get them to you tomorrow,
Okay, that's fine.
because I gotta get them to her.
Then I don't have to.
No, then I'll get them to her.
Okay.
Yeah, with Swiss Road, basically with Swiss Road, I'm estimating we're gonna need little less than 100, maybe it's 150, 170,000 out of